afternoon. We'll open it up and let Coach Satterfield start us off, and then we'll take your questions. Coach, it's all yours.
All right. Yeah. Good afternoon, everyone. I think just first of all, just start off with, touch on Javian Hawkins real quick. I know you guys saw he put that out, that he's, opting out and focusing on NFL. And just want to say, appreciate Hawkins and everything he did for us, since we've been here. And shoot, he's had a heck of a run, over 1,500 yards last year, and this year, 800 and over 830 yards, and leading the ACC in rushing, and great career here in a short period of time. Really, you think about just the number of games he's played, and the impact that he's been able to have. So, wish him nothing but the best, and in his future endeavors, no question about that. And as we move forward, we should have Hassan Hall back this week. He had a death in the family last week that he attended. He's back now. When we'll practice this week. So him, along with Berkeley, Mitchell, Aiden, those guys will be, finish out as running backs for us. And, hopefully those guys will have, good games here as we finish out this season. This week, short week for us, coming off Saturday and, having to play on a Friday, it changes, alters your schedule. Tonight we'll practice. Tonight will be like a Tuesday practice for us, so a little bit more cramming coaching wise, game planning, what we've been able to do yesterday and today, and everything moved up one day. Obviously going back as we looked at Virginia film, and, it was obviously the costly turnovers as we talked about in post game, I think was a big reason for that game, the way it turned out. And, guys played hard. I thought, a lot of effort and had a lot of opportunity there. The fumble there in the fourth quarter, really both fumbles in the fourth quarter. You lose the fourth quarter, you lose the game. And, that was obviously the big difference in the game as you go back and watch it. But there's a lot of plays that were good that we had in that game on both sides of the ball. And, got to continue to build off of it. And we got to continue to take care of the football and get this turnover margin going in our favor, as we finish out these last three.
All right, we'll start with Tim and then go to Cameron.
Coach, about Javian, when did he tell you that he was going to opt out, and how much did that disrupt your planning for the Virginia game?
It was probably, we had conversation. It wasn't for sure the end of last week. He was isolated with, COVID related, with, his roommate, one of his roommates tested positive. So we had him isolated away from that. So he was kind of not even around our building really for most of the week last week, and then he comes in and we talk about it, and, and he wasn't fully decided on what he wanted to do. I think, we kind of hit home when one of his suite mates there, tested positive. I think it had something to do with it. And then, the fact that, he's got a dream and he wants to go tackle that. And, it's a personal choice for him. But, obviously for us, selfishly, we'd love to have him and, could finish out the season. But for him, he had a decision to make, and him and his family, and he felt that was the best for him.
Oh, just to clarify, you knew that he was not going to be available as of when?
Again, he didn't practice because we had him isolated. So we were moving forward as if he was not going to play. Didn't know for sure as we get to it, because like I mentioned last week, we had guys that became available on Saturday of the game. And, but we planned, with all those guys that were not going to be available, we planned on them not being available. If they were, then that was just going to be, gravy. But he was, we had planned on that the whole time, and same thing with Hall. Hall was gone most of the week, to the funeral, the death in the family. So, but we don't know for sure on Javian toward the end of the week until, we got toward the end of the week. We're getting ready to make plans to go for the trip, and he was not going to be on the trip. And, and then today, obviously conversation today, and wanted to put that out and make that official.
Thank you.
Cam.
Hey, Scott, Cam with the Courier Journal. You obviously mentioned Hassan will be back, but you had Berkeley and Jalen Mitchell run on Saturday. Kind of just what do you think of their game? I know Jalen had a pretty big run Does that give you hope going forward that those two can help out Hassan carry the load?
I thought they really played well. I thought, Berkeley had some good, strong runs, not the big-time explosive runs. I know, Mitchell had a great run there down the sideline and was a big play for us. But also in the protection, I thought Berkeley did a great job in protecting. Virginia blitzed. I don't have the percentage, but most of the time they brought a linebacker where our running backs had to step up and take care of the blocking. Berkeley did a really nice job with that. He's very cerebral. He's knowledgeable about our offense. And, I think moving forward, both of those guys are going to be good backs for us the remainder of this season. We saw what Mitchell can do. I think Mitchell, is a guy who's a big, strong running back. You guys have not seen much of him in terms of on game day. And, I think he showed that. He had a good run at Florida State, a couple good runs. And then, of course, Saturday had the big run, broke some tackles, got some good positive yards. So, I think he's a kind of back I think will get better and better the more opportunities he gets. And so I'm excited about what Mitchell will be able to bring as we move forward. And he should be able to get more carries as we move forward throughout the remainder of the season.
Let's go to Jody and then Russ.
Scott, hey, it's Jody from Cardinal Authority. Any update on Tutu? I know he was actually with you guys on the trip. Is there any update on him for this week?
Yeah, Tutu is dealing with a little bit of an injury, and we should know some more this week. He's still listed right now questionable. I think he's going to be really close to be able to come back. The negative is it's a short week. Playing on Friday is another quick turnaround. So, but he's really close, and we'll know more. He's going to go back, get checked up this week, and to see exactly where we're at with everything. Don't want to get specific with what's going on with him, but. It is dealing with an injury, and that's why he was on the trip. He was on the sideline, for our game Saturday.
Russ.
Yeah, Coach. Russ Brown, Kentucky Today. What are exactly your plans at running back? You've got three now. We use Hall. He was number he was number 2.
Yep.
When Hawkins was there. So will he be the main guy, or how will you handle that?
Well, he missed last week. We'll see how it goes this week at practice. I feel certain that he'll, get some opportunity in the game. He's kind of had one of these crazy years, kind of like 2020's gone, but it's gone that way for Hall as well. He's had some injuries this year. He's had some time he's missed. He's missed practice. Of course, last week, he had dealing with the family issue and. We'll see where it's at this week at practice. Again, I feel really good about Berkeley and Mitchell. Both of those guys have been mainstays. They've done a great job here this year in practice. Just hadn't got as many opportunities. But, so I would say all three. We'd probably see all three in the game Saturday. We'll see how it goes this week in practice to really understand and know, who's going to be getting the bulk of the opportunities on Saturday as we get closer to the game.
Go to Gary and then Pat.
Hey, Scott, with this development, how are you holding morale together? What is your challenge now in trying to keep guys focused, the guys that want to stay and are healthy?
Yeah, we try to be positive when we come into the building. It's a process. The one thing that's really been skewed about this whole year and this whole thing with the virus is all the procedures and protocols and that you have to go through. We love to be routine oriented. Sunday we want to do this, Monday is this, Tuesday, Wednesday. Every day should be routine oriented on what we do. You get up, and our guys, they get up, they eat breakfast, they do their classwork, they go to study hall, they come over, they lift, they go to meetings, they go to practice, and then they repeat. And along the whole way, it's just about going through that process to being the best you can possibly be and trying to stay positive. We're obviously. There's a lot of distractions. There's a lot of negative things that are out there. But the opportunity to come play football is a great thing. And, this year you never know if it's going to get taken away at any point in time through contact tracing or the virus and or a game canceled or pushed back. So when you are here and you have an opportunity to go out and compete, let's make the most of that and let's have fun with it. And our guys, to their credit, when we come out here for practice, they've done a really nice job. They've come here. They've wanted to work. They've gotten to work in. So much of what we're going through, with the wins and losses doesn't have to do with effort. A lot of it is just the mistakes and that we've had. And so, They got to bring it every time. And that's kind of, we're just trying to stay positive when they come into the building and to keep moving forward, and another opportunity again this week against Syracuse. And we're looking forward to that.
Pat.
Coach, in regards to the turnovers and efficiency, why do you think Malik Cunningham has taken a step back this year?
Well, I don't think it's all Malik Cunningham. I think if you go back and look, and some of these interceptions that he's thrown are not all his fault. Some of them are fourth down where we want him to throw, and sometimes it's not there, but it's going to be in a coverage. He's had at least 3 picks that were batted balls that we should have caught, that were knocked up and knocked around. And then, of course, it goes in his stat line, but that's not all his fault. So I can think of at least 4 or 5 of those interceptions are that way. Last year, he had 5 interceptions. The fumble, if we go back and watch the fumble in the fourth quarter this past game, even on film, and I thought so at the time of the game, he's got 2 hands on the ball. He's got the ball wrapped up with 2 hands. The defender, he starts to spin. The defender makes a great play with his arm underneath and just kind of rakes it out as he's getting ready to fall. Very unfortunate. It's a great play by their guy. So I certainly don't want to turn the football over. He's got the ball in his hands every single play. And there's going to be more opportunity for him to turn the ball over with the way, the ball is in his hands, whether it be throwing or running. And you can go back to this game. He was the offense. He rushed for over 200 yards. Of course, you take away some of the sacks, ended up being right under 200 yards, and then threw for, whatever he threw for, 165, 70 yards. He was a guy that kept us in the game offensively. And then, again, we just can't turn the ball over. It's things we work on all the time. There's times he runs the ball loosely, and that hasn't changed. We got to continue to make that better when he does take the ball down and go running. So, I think he's been a solid player for us the last couple of years. We believe in him, and, we got to get better. We just got to get better. And the guys have to get better around him to help him as well, to where, the ball is not getting put on the ground and the ball is not getting batted up.
Go to Michael McCammon and then Kent Spencer.
Hey, Coach Satterfield, Michael from Cardinal Authority here. 2020 is a weird year, but the coaches are still losing their gigs, and Will Muschamp lost his, and immediately your name surfaced for that open spot on Twitter. But what's your reaction when you see your name pop up for positions like that?
I don't have any reaction. We've got a job to do here. I got so much going on here from not only a daily basis, but an hourly basis that I don't have time to look and worry about anything else going on. My job is to focus on this team and to do everything we can to make them better. We've already talked about on this conference call here all the things that we got to fix here. And so I'm not worried about or name getting brought up. I haven't even seen it. I'm not even on social media. Don't know what's going on out there in the world. I'm focused on this team and doing everything we can to try to find a win and to try to find our guys and make them better players and better men.
Kent.
Scott, Kent Spencer, WHAS 11. When it comes to the turnover struggles, I'm sure you guys stress it with words all the time, but what are some things, maybe in practice or whatever, how you're stressing ball security?
Yeah, we do obviously in individual drills where we're working on ball security, depending on if you're a quarterback, a wide receiver, running back, carrying the ball high and tight. If you're a quarterback in the pocket, we work on in the pocket and running, to where you're trying to strip the ball, you're knocking balls, you're hitting arms, and then obviously we throw the football in practice all the time, as far as looking at interceptions, about where to throw it, who we're reading, what are we doing with that, and so, yeah, it's constantly harped on and talked about and really worked on. I think, but nothing, I don't think anything you can do is going to be the same and simulated as a game. We try to make it as difficult as we can at practice. And again, we haven't had much issue. Really until this year. The teams I've been a part of, we've done a great job of taking care of footballs. It's just one of these things that's happened this year. We've been plagued by them. We have a two game stretch where we didn't really have any offensively, which was awesome. And we stayed in the game. Notre Dame, Florida State. And then some of these other games has just plagued us. As I mentioned in the game, we're not good enough to overcome those right now, and we got to continue to play better and play mistake-free.
As a quick follow-up, is there a fine line between trying to make a play and making sure you're taking care of the ball? Because you want guys to make plays.
No question. I mean, it's a prime example is the when Malik took off running on the last one. It's a 30-yard run. We're getting down to, I think he's on the plus 35, trying to get the extra yards. And again, I mentioned he's got two hands on it. Yeah, there is. Get what you can get. If you're getting into big traffic, put two hands on it and get down. Because teams now, they do a great job. They're taught to strip, and we try to do it as well. Defense, we're trying to get balls out. I think, we just unfortunately we hadn't got as many. But I think, yeah, get what you can get down, and you're right, there is a fine line there.
Go back to Cameron and then to Tim.
Scott, I remember you saying before the season, kind of one of the unknowns you had, the special teams in the kicking game. You lose a guy like Blanton Creaky, you replace him with James Turner. James has done pretty well. Just kind of give me your thoughts on his play so far, and did you see this kind of consistency from him in fall camp as well?
I was big time pleasantly surprised when James came out in August and started kicking, and it was a big competition. We got a bunch of guys kicking, and he was very consistent in his approach and making those, and it's been true in the games. I mean, I think he's done an awesome job. I think kicking field goals and extra points. He missed, I think, 2 52-yarders. One of them hit the upright against Notre Dame, and then he nailed the one the other night right down the middle. What was that, 40-some yards? So, I mean, I think he's done a really nice job of filling in there after Creaky's done last year, because Creaky was a model of consistency. But I think James has done the same. I think he's come in, and our guys can count on him. And if we need to go knock down a field goal, he'll go knock it down. And so really proud of what he's been able to do this year. And really being consistent in that position, that's what you have to have.
Tim.
Back to Javian for a second. I think he's at least the 7th running back nationally to opt out this year. Do you think that position particularly is the players are conscious of being vulnerable and getting hurt going into the draft?
I think potentially so, Tim. As you look at it, running backs, and everybody always talks about there's a shelf life for running backs and how many hits can they take, and maybe that goes through running backs' minds, the fact that, you only have so many hits. And then I look at a guy like A.J. Dillon from BC that got hit all the time and, 40 carries a game, and he just kept on going, for 4 years at Boston College. And you got to respect a guy like that to be able to do that. But, and even as you look at, in terms of NFL, there's not a ton of backs that go early. I think NFL tries to get value in running backs, whether it be mid rounds or free agents, and they feel like they can still get a good value guy with that. But and Hawkins is unique in the fact that he does have speed. He's not over 200 pounds. So it puts him in a little bit different category with that. He's a speed back. A guy that can catch the ball in the backfield as well. But to answer your question, I think that's probably part of the decision for him. Knowing that, you want to stay healthy. I think that's probably the biggest thing.
Thank you.
Go back to Gary and Jody.
Scott, how do you compare, I guess, the challenges before the season, not knowing whether there was going to be a season, to what you face now with guys opting out and of course, having outbreaks? I mean, which has been more difficult for you?
I think it's probably the unknown each week that with the virus, as far as, we're testing so many times. Last week, we tested every day but one day last week. And, you're just waiting on that afternoon to say, is everybody good? Are we all negative? And then if you get the news of there's a positive, okay, well, then who else is that going to affect? And it just changes so many things. And I think that's probably been the worst of this, is the unknown factor each and every week. And I say week, it's really daily, because, who's going to be there and who's not going to be there. And, and I think that's probably the biggest challenge. And as coaches, because you're trying to put together a plan and you may or may not even have a guy, and now, you're playing a guy that maybe hadn't played and all the things that are happening with that. I think that's probably been the biggest challenge. the opportunity to go out and compete, we all love that, and the opportunity to play is great. But as coaches, that's the biggest challenge, because we lose our routine. You got so many different distractions, I'd call them, that come into play. For our team and our coaches, quite honestly, the emotional roller coaster is what takes the toll on.
Jody.
Scott, you mentioned playing guys that haven't played before. Can you just speak to what the defense has done the last couple of weeks? And I think that was Mason Rieger who was in there the other day, who was, I believe, just a true freshman walk on. Just to be able, I mean, those guys are going to hopefully play at some point. To have to play those guys this early, and what the defense has done the other day to kind of hold, Virginia down 100 yards lower than what you all had.
Yeah. Yeah, it's, I think start of the season, we probably wasn't going to play Rieger. Wouldn't think he'd play this year. He's a walk-on true freshman. The next thing you know, you see him in a game against Virginia down the line this year. So from what our defense has done, I think, I think I saw a stat earlier today. I think they're maybe fifth in the conference, fifth or sixth in total yards given up. I mean, and having to play a lot of guys the last few weeks that really, we wouldn't think would be playing. So I think they've done a really nice job with that. We've had some struggles on that side of the ball. They've gotten better. I think, this week is good, because we do get back several of our defensive line. TP's back, Yaya's back, Derek Dorsey's back. I mean, all these guys that were starters for us now are back this week. Thank goodness. So hopefully that'll help our D line. We were just down numbers, in this game. We didn't have anybody to put in, and you got to rotate some guys. And so, he just kind of, you ended up getting a couple plays. So, it's just where we had to do, and nobody really cares. I know our fans probably don't care. I mean, it's, that the fact they want to see results, they want to see wins and loss, want to see the win category and not the loss. But we're, this is what we had to play, and again, I was proud of our guys. They played hard, and they did some really nice things, and we got to continue to grow and build off of it, and hopefully down the road it makes us better.
We'll go to Russ, to Cameron, and then we'll wrap up on Dominique.
Yeah, Coach. One more about Atwell. There's been some speculation that he might follow Hawkins' path also. Has he had any conversations with you about that, especially now that he's got an injury?
No, Tutu's been an awesome person. Love being around him, and he's been every day standing out there on the field and talking. And he's like, Coach, I can't standing on the side right here. I want to be out there playing. That's just his mentality. I've not heard anything what you just mentioned about that. I just saw him walking down the hall a while ago. I mean, so I don't know. I mean, everybody's got their own personal thoughts about it, but he has not mentioned one thing to me about it.
Cameron.
Yeah, Scott, you had mentioned kind of running back by committee with Hassan and Berkeley and Jalen. Would you think Aiden Robbins will be in that mix, or if not, how far off do you think he is from getting real playing time?
Well, yeah, he's in the mix certainly. You probably. We don't want to go down to where we're going to end up playing, 4 guys probably. I feel like running backs need to get a feel for things. They need to get a feel for the blocks up front. And so, usually in the past we've played about 2 guys. This week we'll see how practice goes, and we may end up playing 2 or 3. We'll see, see how it goes. But I think those guys want to get a rhythm, whether it be pass protection and or running. You get a feel for blocks. You get a feel for how the defense is playing at that particular day. And if you're doing a lot of rotation with the running backs, maybe they don't get the same kind of feel. But not to say we wouldn't do it, But I think Aiden's right there in the mix. Aiden's practiced hard. He's been here the whole time. He's done a lot of nice things. Those guys are just a little bit ahead of him right now. But not to say he couldn't jump in there. So he's not far off to answer your question, Cameron.
All right, let's wrap up with Dominique.
Yeah, Scott, Dominique with the Courier Journal. Opting out, I guess the final question about that hasn't been an issue with your program compared to some this season. But throughout the year, have there been conversations with guys where they express concerns about playing and chose not to? And something that you still monitor throughout the rest of the year? And finally, I guess thoughts on Syracuse.
Well, I think, as far as that goes, opting out the piece of it, I think each person that has done it, and I'm not even saying our program, I'm saying throughout the country, I think every situation is different. I think you got certain guys that are, were high draft pick type guys that did it early. I think you've got other guys that have down the road maybe didn't see the season didn't go as good as they had planned personally, and so they decided to opt out. And then I think, here at the end, it was a personal decision by Hawkins, because of what he wants to do for his future. So I think each one of those are different. This is the first year we just came up with this term opt out, I guess. I don't even never heard this term until this year, so we just came up with it. And so hopefully as we move forward to next year, we don't have the opt out situation. I'm hoping we get some good news today on another one of these vaccines. 95% effective. So hopefully we can start rolling these things out so we don't have to worry about the opting out piece and the virus piece. But that'll be a glorious day when we don't have to talk about this stuff. And we can just talk about Syracuse. That's perfect. That's a great question there. Syracuse had some struggles this year as well. It seems like they've had a bunch of guys opt out early and late, and I think what Dino's done is putting some young guys out there. I thought they played their best game against Boston College, 2 weeks ago. It was a very close game, 16-13. I tell you what, they've done a great job is creating turnovers. As we talked about the turnovers earlier, they've done some really nice things. They had a pick six against Trevor Lawrence against Clemson. They sacked Duke, fumbled, picked it up, ran it in for a touchdown. That's kept them in the games. They've struggled a little bit offensively this year to score points, but their defense has kind of kept them in some of those games with the turnovers they've been able to create. And as I mentioned, the Boston College game, they were in that game all the way to the end. It was a good, hard battle against Boston College. And but Dino's playing a freshman, 5 freshmen that start on defense, 2 sophomores. So he's kind of just gone young. Start playing young guys and getting ready for the future. But those guys are playing hard. And again, we got to come down. We got to take care of the football. There's no question. We've talked about that, and then we got to score points too. I think that's the other thing. We got to score points and come out and play a complete game this week.
All right, we'll finish up on that. Thanks, Coach. Thanks everybody for being with us.
Thanks, guys.